Welcome everyone to this new video series from St.Denis Catholic Church here in Diamond Bar, California. I'm Father John Palmer, the administrator here. I hope that all of you are doing well under the circumstances. I know that many of you are suffering because of COVID-19. Perhaps someone in your family is sick with this disease or maybe even died from it. Perhaps you've lost some of your income or even lost your job. And I know that all of us are struggling to cope with having to stay home in order to stay safe. Please know that the priests here at St.Denis have been praying for you and your families ever since all of this started. In addition, the priests and staff at St.Denis have been hard at work trying to minister under these unprecedented circumstances when public masses and public gatherings have been prohibited. In this video series, I plan to talk with staff members and parishioners to find out how they're coping with these circumstances and how they're trying to continue to carry on the mission of Jesus Christ. For this first episode, I've invited Jasmine Blackburn to join us. Jasmine is the director of teen confirmation and youth ministry here at St.Denis. So welcome, Jasmine.
Thank you, Father. It's great to be here.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great under the circumstances.
How have you been trying to minister to the teens and their families during this pandemic?
Our mission was to make sure that our teens and their families felt that we were there for them. And so we started off with doing a Divine Mercy Chaplet on the weekdays at 3 p.m. And we do that via our Instagram Live.
Okay.
And we're still meeting with our students regularly every week via Zoom. So we have a virtual classroom. And then we're just trying to find ways to, be creative and connect with our teens.
Thank you, Jasmine. I look forward to learning more about all that you and your team are doing, all the good work that you and your team are doing. But for this episode, I'd like to focus on the parish as a whole, where we've been in the past 6 weeks, and where we're going in the near term and the longer term.
Yes, Father John. So let's go back to the beginning when this pandemic all started. Tell us what it was like to learn from Archbishop Jose Gomez that they were temporarily canceling the masses.
Yeah, that happened on St. Patrick's Day, Tuesday, March 17th.
You remember the date?
I do. I remember a lot of these dates. It wasn't unexpected, given what was happening at the time with the civil authorities, how the restrictions were getting tighter and tighter. The preceding weekend, mass attendance was limited to 250 people. And we were making that work. It seemed, we said, oh, okay, we can manage this, we can work with this. But then the restrictions got tighter. The limitation was 50 people in the church at one time, and the Archbishop felt that he had to cancel the masses temporarily. And so then we started the team here, the priests and the staff were trying to figure out, how can we proceed if only 50 people can come to church? And during that first week, we thought, oh, okay, we'll leave the church open, and maybe we'll have Eucharistic adoration, and people can come and go, but we'll somehow monitor, make sure that no more than 50 people are in the church at a time. But then just 2 days later, on March 19th, Governor Gavin Newsom issued that executive order that everyone has to stay at home in order to stay safe.
Right.
And from that point on, we had to close the church, close the parish office. We weren't sure how to proceed or what we could do, what we couldn't do. It was a very, very stressful time.
Sure.
For everyone here at the parish, everyone at home, I'm sure, as well.
How did you feel like St. Denis, the parish, responded in that first week?
We were just trying to figure things out. The staff started working from home. The priests were working, from their from their home as well. There were a lot of things going on,
Yeah.
and in some ways there wasn't a lot happening visibly at St. Denis online, but there was a lot of work going on behind the scenes to get online.
So how did that second week go?
Well, Deacon Dennis stepped forward and suggested, he could video record the Stations of the Cross on that Friday with me doing the Stations of the Cross alone. And he has video equipment and other equipment. He's a kind of a techie, and he's into technology. So we did that. He brought in his camera. He recorded me leading the Stations of the Cross with no one else present except him behind the camera. And it was kind of strange, and it was a little awkward and kind of lonely to be the only person in the huge church.
Yeah.
And then he said, we talked and we decided, well, let's try to do a Sunday Mass. Let's try to record a Sunday Mass. And we did that. We did a vigil Mass Saturday evening that he recorded. And then he spent the whole night putting it together to make sure it got online and onto YouTube. And that was our first weekend when we were really starting to get online.
That's great, Father. So you really responded to the call. So how did, obviously with at that point, we're going into Holy Week. So what did that look like for you?
Actually, two people stepped forward to help us to start live streaming because I didn't think this was possible for us or feasible technically. But Paul Choi and Jay Deller both stepped forward independently, offering help to get us online and live streaming. We started live streaming for the first time using a single iPhone camera and its built-in microphone and trying to live stream using just that technology. And I remember that first week, the priests, because the camera was far away and we had to practically shout to be heard, and even then we couldn't be heard on the video. It was an adventure. Yeah.
Did you think you'd be in this position?
No,
Yeah.
no.
So
But the response of the people was so good.
yeah,
To even our first attempts at live streaming, it got a good response, and we realized we have to do more of this, and we've kept on trying to do it better. We added a second iPhone camera. We added other technological improvements, feeding the audio from our parish's sound system directly into the video that we were recording and live streaming. That was a big jump forward. Eventually moved from using iPhone cameras to regular standalone cameras. We moved from using a Wi-Fi connection to a wired Ethernet connection. And just this week we've gotten some new lighting. So we've been progressing technically, and we hope to continue to progress.
I have been an audience in the masses that have been live streamed, and I will say that even reading the comments of other parishioners, they really appreciate how the parish has come a long way and is now, have all the technology to support live streaming Mass.
You mentioned Holy Week and so forth,
Yeah.
and Easter. That was a very difficult time to be celebrating, these big, important liturgies, without anyone in here.
Yeah.
And we did our best with the live streaming. We had, Sunday liturgy live streamed, Holy Thursday evening,
Yeah.
Good Friday, Easter Sunday too. I was so happy to
was
make it to
beautiful.
Easter.
Yeah.
Yes, I was so happy because
Yeah.
I thought Lent would never end.
It was definitely, they're saying, is the lentiest Lent ever.
Yes,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
longest. It was not just 40 days and 40 nights. It seemed,
Yes. Eternity.
Yes.
So how is the parish responding after Easter?
we've been realizing that we need to do more online than we have been. Frankly, in the past, St. Denis's presence online was, fairly small and
Right.
minimal.
Right.
Um, and we realized that we have to be where the people are. And people are spending a lot of time online,
Yes.
especially the younger generation.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to meet them where they are.
Yeah.
And if they're online, well, that's where we need to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so part of what we've planned for the future is to continue to improve our live streaming capability, because this seems to be something that's going to go on not only for weeks but months, and it looks like it will return, in the new flu season, um, and even as the restrictions gradually are loosened, there'll still be a lot of people who can't come to Mass or won't feel comfortable coming to Mass, particularly those who are 65 and older. They'll be the last group that will be able to return to Mass probably, and yet they're the most faithful parishioners.
Yeah.
And we want to continue to reach out to them and to minister to them through the live streaming and other ways. Um, so we see for St. Denis that live streaming is now something that we're going to do moving forward. Even once all the restrictions are lifted, we plan to continue to live stream at least one Mass every day and live stream other things too.
Well, that's great. So I guess that it actually answered my last question here, which was what you thought were the short-term, goals or objectives for St. Denis.
Yes. So in the short term, we are continuing to make improvements in our live streaming capabilities. But in the very near future, we plan to have a permanent live streaming system installed here at St. Denis. We will have 4 different cameras that will be remote controlled, and we'll be able to live stream, anything that's happening in the church, including, Sunday masses, weekday masses, weddings and funerals as well.
Wow.
This is a part. I mean, before all this started, if you had asked me, or someone proposed to me and said, St. Denis should start live streaming its masses. And I would have said, because I didn't have the vision for this, but I would have said, oh no, I don't want to help people not to come to Mass. I want them to come to Mass. And I thought live streaming would interfere with their coming to Mass. But now I see it that the live streaming is getting such a good response on Facebook. It's reaching beyond our, usual Mass attendance, and that's really impressive. Like our weekday Masses are attracting 400, 500, 600 views, and that's way beyond the number of people who come to our daily Mass.
Yeah.
So with this permanent live streaming system, we'll be able to, as I mentioned, live stream our regular Masses as well as weddings and funerals. I had never thought about this until someone pointed it out. For funerals in particular, not all family members can come, on short notice, but they will be able to participate in the funerals via live streaming. The same thing for weddings as well. And so I'm excited about that. And we'll be able to offer this as, a kind of service to the people, and there'll be a little bit of a fee for this, but the fee will be used to defray the costs. And we do, as you know, we do over 100 weddings every year here at St. Denis. So if each, couple that wants live streaming pays a little bit, the money will go a long way to defray the costs of this system.
I think it's going to be a real blessing, Father.
Yes.
Especially as we start to open up the church again, there'll still probably be some restrictions as to how many people can gather.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we can have the sacrament of matrimony come back on, they could have a small gathering, but yet live stream it to all their family and friends. So
Yes.
it's going to be beautiful.
Yes. And I want to say that in addition to live streaming liturgies, we're trying to do more online, like this video series. Apart from masses, we're live streaming evening prayer on Wednesdays at 7 p.m., Holy Hour on Fridays at 8 p.m. So
Yeah.
we're trying to do more and more online. Yeah.
I can definitely see the possibilities for our teens too.
Yes.
So, okay, well, Father, thank you so much. Thank you for providing us insight as to where St. Denis is now and where we're headed. And I look forward to seeing where it goes.
Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you for helping with this video.
Of course.
Thank you, everyone at home, for watching. The next video in this series, I plan to speak with a licensed clinical social worker who's a parishioner to get some insights into how parents and teens and all of us can cope with staying at home for such an extended period of time. I know this is causing a lot of stress on families and individuals, and we want to get some expert advice about how to deal with this strange time that we're living in. Please check out St. Denis's website, stdenis.org, which has information about all of our videos and the schedule of videos, and all of information about what's happening at St. Denis. Finally, thank you to everyone who has continued to support St. Denis financially and in other ways. We greatly appreciate your generosity and help. And may God bless you and your families.